How to cut expenses on your housing, making home expenses tiny. That was supposed to be a play on of tiny homes. Hopefully that resonated with you. Housing is where I believe the biggest sacrifice comes into play, but where the largest gains can be made. As I've stated, I lived in a 1986 Chevy Suburban while paying off my debt, and I want you to take a look at what I paid over the course of the 11 months in housing. I sacrificed my housing, figured out ways to cut down on my commute and overall traveling, and was able to only pay $1,120 and 2 cents in gas, and that equates to about $100 a month. That helped me pay off my debt incredibly. I include this little graphic of my gas in the housing portion of cutting expenses because it was technically my home expense for 11 months because I lived in a car. So one option is to live in your car. However, I don't expect that to be a primary path for most of us. Something I believe many of us can do is live with a bunch of roommates. If you live with a bunch of your friends, it won't be too bad, especially if they share common passions as you. If you got 8 filmmakers under one roof, not only do you save an ample amount of money each month, but you have an opportunity to make some really cool stuff. You get 8 basketball players under one roof. Not only are you saving money, but you're getting better at your game. A close friend of mine lived in a 4-bedroom house. 3 of the rooms were occupied by single individuals, and he shared his room with someone else. So, and this is living in California. Because he shared a home with 4 other individuals, he knocked his rent down to $250 a month. That's clutch. Sharing a room with someone isn't too bad, especially with what you're having to gain. Also, for perspective here, I lived with someone else in my 1986 Chevy Suburban with me for 8 months, and that helped me cut down on my expenses immensely. So it's definitely possible and definitely doable. Before I give you more ideas on how to cut expenses on your housing, I think it's worth discussing discomfort and how our relationship with it will affect our progress. The more willing you are to be uncomfortable and tough it out, the higher the likelihood you will get out of debt quicker. It's a matter of how bad do you want it. I want it bad for you. I want it so bad for you because financial freedom is one of the greatest feelings. There are no bounds or limitations on the other end of the rainbow. Take all of the suggestions with the mindset that you're ready and willing to get your hands dirty. So the roommate path, as I mentioned earlier, is a great solution, usually for single individuals. Another strategy you can employ is simply moving to an area that has more affordable housing. I'm not sure at what point we all began to believe we deserve the nicest things this world has to offer, even when we can't truly afford it. But I think downgrading to a neighborhood that is still safe and has cheaper rents is a great option. There was a guy I met at my last job who made fun of me every single day for trying to pay off my debt and the strategies I took to accomplish it, because it was gutsy, it was grueling, and in his eyes, it just wasn't worth it. He tried knocking me down every single day. He always had something to say to me. Once I paid off my debt, him and his wife in their late 40s sold their home and downgraded to a mobile home to knock out their debt. They saw it was possible and made a temporary sacrifice for a long-term benefit. He was a jerk, but he made the right move. Get creative. You know, maybe you have a friend that has an RV in their backyard. Could be worth asking, hey, can I rent out from that RV from you? Hey, can I rent out that RV from you for 9 months? Move into a granny flat. Rent out a room in your own home. Additionally, you don't need to live in luxury apartment complexes. You don't need a pool. You don't need to be in downtown near bars and restaurants. You need somewhere safe and affordable. Those are the only 2 requirements you need when it comes to housing. Another option, if you are renting, is to make a deal with your landlord in one of the following ways. You can offer a service to your landlord in exchange for a break in the rent. You could offer to do repairs yourself in exchange for a break in the rent. Or as an example, I met a guy that would take down everyone's trash so the landlord wouldn't have to drive across town to do it. I guess that was a service that his landlord was offering. He got a couple bucks knocked off. He also was a secondary key holder if someone got locked out. He essentially offered handyman maintenance type services for nearly $200 off of his rent each month. And it wasn't that much time. It took maybe 2 hours of his month, if that, maybe an hour if somebody got locked out. And if your landlord says yes, be sure to get everything in writing and have expectations clear about what you will actually be doing for them. This one, you'll have to use some wisdom for if you're paying a reasonable rent. Be honest with yourself. If you live in a luxury apartment in the best area in your town and you're paying an expensive rate, be honest with yourself about what is reasonable. You can use rentometer.com to check and compare your rent to surrounding areas. If you have cause to believe your rent is too high, you can negotiate with your landlord to reduce the price in exchange for an extended lease, foregoing renovations, uh, different types of amenities, and provide examples of nearby neighborhoods' standard rent rates with similar amenities to what you have, and write something out, get it to them, start that conversation, because you'll be surprised. You'll never know what you can get if you don't ask. Breaking your lease. In order to get out of a lease, be sure you know what you signed up for and what you're able to do. So we don't want you to break your lease to only end up having to provide a 6 months advance on the rent you're going to pay. If you can't get out of your lease, find out if subleasing is an option while you look for more affordable housing. Beware, though, that when you sublease, you are responsible for the actions of whom you are subletting to. Remember to get everything in writing from both your landlord as well as your new subleaser, and screen them hard and well if you end up subletting. So next we'll be chatting about whether you should rent or you should buy, renting versus buying. We'll see you in the next video.